In today's video, we're going to talk about the difference between leadership and management. Now, leadership is getting people to do things because they want to do them. And I'll repeat that, because they want to do them. Not necessarily just because you've told them. So leadership helps drive people's focus and attention and willingness to do a certain thing. Management is making sure people do the outputs and the outcomes and the KPIs. I guess the difference between the two is one is like an element or a concept leading people from the front, and the other is a concept that is driving people from the back. So if you think of it kind of like two people guiding some cattle or some sheep. So one is at the front leading the way, showing what direction that everybody should be going in. And the one at the back is kind of like going left and right and making sure people don't go off in the wrong direction, or the cattle doesn't get stuck in a creek or something like that, or get left behind. So the two are needed together in order to get the effective outcome of driving the team and the company to achieve the mission. So back in the business context, it's really easy to tell the vision, to share what you want to achieve. That's one thing. That's the leadership side, particularly if you can foster that in people, get them to actually want to come along for the ride with you. Then the management side is actually making sure they do it. So if we say, we need to follow up with a whole bunch of clients because that's what's going to help grow our business. There's the leadership side. The management side would be, let's now check how many calls and emails have been sent in the last 30 days by customer type or customer segment or something like that, and make sure that those KPIs are being driven. And if they're not, having conversations with those individuals to make sure that those things do get it. Now, when deciding upon how to lead people, you've got things that motivate people to do things, and then you've got things that motivate people to not do things. So you want to try and motivate the right behaviors. Motivating someone to work hard in a business and grow is great, but also incentivizing someone to not leave can also be a bad thing. So there is a theory called Herzberg's two-factor theory, where if you motivate to do with pay, you can motivate with a lot of money, and that might make someone want to do more. But if it's also too cushy and too good, then it might motivate a bad player to not want to leave because they can't get the same money elsewhere. So you need to have the right balance between objectives, but then also not make it so good that nobody wants to leave, even if they're horrendously bad. So once again, leadership helps set the vision on what needs to happen, and then management helps set how it needs to happen. So one thing I like to do is have a task backlog. We have a huge list of things that need to get done, and then we assign them out, and we could always try to assign more jobs than any one person can do at any one time. Mostly just because if they finish that task, they move on to the next. They're not left wondering, what is it that I need to do? So having a task list allows you to see the output of somebody and how well they're performing. Now, if you compare people, you might see that some work faster than others. That's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe they're particularly good at it. Maybe they've got a shortcut approach. Maybe someone else just doesn't have the experience or the I guess, repetitions to be able to really understand how to do that faster. So that allows you to do one of two things. You can start to find out how that fast person is so fast and see what you can learn and share that amongst the rest of the team. Or you could start to see where slow people who should be fast are actually just slow. And the other thing it does is it helps focus people's attention on the things in the organization that need to get done. As opposed to what often happens is people get given a task or an objective with not a lot of rules around it or what to do next, and then they start going down a spiral of learning too many things or going off track or trying to add too many extra things on. They think they're helping, and sometimes the intent is there and they really do want to help, but they might be well and truly off track. You know, we went down a rabbit hole of trying to do this case study. We designed the template, and then all of a sudden this person started designing another variation of it or another appearance of it. And that just wasted a whole bunch of time when realistically we were good to go on that first template and we didn't need to reinvent the wheel 1,000 times. You know, we'll come back at it again and have a more solid approach in a year or two's time. But for now, that works and we don't need to go do any more work on it. So don't create new stuff where there's no point in creating new stuff if the old way is good enough. Having said that, you need to make that decision where the old way is not always the best way, but also because there's so many new options, you should test on a small scale instead of constantly trying to find the latest shiny thing. Do what works, test a couple things periodically, but then modify what you're actually doing so that you're doing the next most effective thing. But do it enough times so that it is effective and you actually get the benefit from it instead of constantly chasing new things. Now, I mentioned earlier that I like to use an agile task list that is way more work than any one person could ever do. Now, one reason why this is so effective is that it actually reduces the risk of the Parkinson's law problem. For example, Parkinson's law is you've got a certain amount of time to perform a task. The more time you're given, it doesn't matter what, you're going to find a way to make that task take that long. So it's actually more effective to have compressed time frames to do tasks because you will find a way to be more resourceful and more efficient in that time. So by using a task list and having a certain number of tasks that need to be done on a consistent basis, there's always more to do and you need to keep on top of your list, otherwise it keeps growing. So you don't really measure it in the way of time, you might measure it in the number of outcomes. So you might say we need 8 to 10 outcomes per day per individual. That leaves very little room to measure it based on time, to say you need to complete this task within a week. No, it's much better to say you need to complete 8 tasks a day, and for every task you go over that, you actually get a bonus or there's some extra benefit, more time in the break room, whatever it happens to be. Now, whether you're a manager or a leader or both, one key thing is that you need to empower your team to be able to do the work. If you're constantly the one that they come to, then you can never really escape. You need to build systems that allow your team to find the answer themselves without having to constantly come to you for every piece of advice or question. You need to build a set of decision rules. You need to document your policies, procedures, processes, record videos on how to do things, make it available, make it searchable, and then train the team on where to go and also train the team on how to improve it. They need to be also asking questions of the database, and if it's not there, write an article and put it back into the knowledge database. And as you go, that knowledge database will deflect most of the inquiries that your team have for you. So now you get to focus on higher level tasks and things that will help you work on your business rather than constantly answering questions. That management time should be used for thinking more deeply about things, solving new problems, and creating new processes that give you even more time and even more leverage, not constantly answering the phone. Give people time to figure things out. If you answer every question, you should be answering every question with a question. Have you checked the knowledge base? Have you seen the video? Guide them to the resources. You will have to coach this. You will have to train this. But once you do, you'll be able to work so much more freely and not constantly be on the phone to your team or constantly in the chat feed. Once they know how you think, they know the decision rules, you don't need to be bugged every 5 minutes. Get people to maybe wait a minute before they come to you. Or if they have a problem, they have to come back to you with 2 or 3 solutions. Or I've checked here, I've checked there, this article doesn't answer it. Great, well now we know that is a thing that we can improve. We can improve the article to answer that question that one person had. So use that every question as an opportunity to create content that answers the future person that asks that question. Now, as a manager and as a leader, you can leverage your time through a medium like this. Part of what you need to do is communicate with your people. Tell them the direction, the thinking, the concepts of what you're trying to achieve. And to do that at scale, sometimes it's good to write it down and publish it. The bigger you get, the bigger a company gets, no longer can that one person have one-on-one conversations with all of the team. They need to start writing announcements or new work methods and operations or operating standards or things like that. You need to publish things in order to train the organization's brain on what needs to happen next. So by having a system that allows you to consistently provide information, or a forum or a platform, whether you record yourself or whether you jump in an online meeting that can be recorded and then published out to the rest of your database, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you need to create leverage in your ability to manage, because someone's access to you might be limited the more people you have in your organization. So increase your ability to be accessed remotely, asynchronously, by creating content internally, as well as the content that you create externally. Now, when you're running your teams, they're not automatically going to come to you and tell you this is how things could be better, or this didn't work this time. So it's up to you to ask questions that elicit information to understand roadblocks in the customer journey or in the customer employee or whatever onboarding journey. So whatever the process is, just ask, how could it be better? Or what if this happened? Or what if we send an email or a text at that time? What if we ask this question at the start? What's going to simplify the pipeline process of running your business operation? Is it something that by scenario planning or talking through each customer journey, each little element, if you give that psychological safety to your employees, that if something goes wrong, it's not their fault, it's a system fault. Maybe the form wasn't correct, or maybe the process wasn't followed, or maybe it wasn't easy to follow the process because you had to dig through 10 documents. It's not always something that should be the employee's fault. They shouldn't just have to know everything. You should really be documenting and creating guidance and making it really easy for your employees to be doing the work. If it is difficult, if they cannot give you feedback, if they feel as though they're going to be attacked or challenged ridiculously, yes, it's okay to justify, hey, yes, we've heard that bit of feedback before, but this is the outcome and that's the outcome and that's why we've decided on this, but thank you. If you give them that psychological safety, that zone of freedom to be able to express ideas and give feedback, then you're going to get much better interaction with your team. You're going to extract more valuable information that's going to help improve the process and help everything go faster. And when you do something about their feedback, they will feel like they are listened to, like they are heard, and they will feel more invested in the company, and that will improve not only your management side but your leadership side of driving your business forward. And sometimes if an employee doesn't know something, it's not necessarily the fault of the employee. Perhaps it's the fault of the training systems of when you onboard these employees. What is it that you are not telling them about when they start? Yes, some things need to be hard learned, but maybe they could be paired with someone and guided through the process of learning, like a mentor, internal mentor program, so that you can help train these people to know what they need to do. Build some structure around it. Have an online course. Have a sequence or a checklist or something that improves that training. And perhaps they didn't do the training, or they didn't listen, or they didn't write it down. So make your training better. So make it more engaging. Make it something that is a bit more fun. Put some quizzes in there or something. Whatever it is, it's the system's fault. It's 99.99% of the time the system's fault. People are people. They will do what they do. We can guide them, we can lead them, but we can't force them to think what we want them to think or to do what we want them to do every second of every day. The best thing we can do is encourage them, provide guardrails, give them a direction, and help them through what it is that we're trying to do. So when management and leadership come together, you can create magic, and you can build a team that is incredibly impactful and can grow your business significantly, creating enormous leverage and scale. So thank you for watching. Please give us a like, a subscribe, and let us know what you thought in the comments. Otherwise, take care and watch out for the next one.